All right, I am here. I'm about to send the update for everyone that the item has started. Oh, my. Hey, Mark. Good to see you, man.
What's up, man? Where are you hiding out?
Hiding out in the office right now. So, uh, yeah, it's like the office slash gym. There's a treadmill right behind me. So, how you hanging?
Good, man. Hold on, I'm trying to.
Yeah, no worries.
Uh, uh, yeah, man. How's the uh property searches going?
I am trying to get ready to close on the property. That Jack helped guide me through, and then Jeremy actually did a walkthrough on it.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
Butler one
yeah,
or
yeah, the
whatever.
Butler one.
Yeah.
The only thing that's concerning about it is that there do look like to be some cracks, but they don't look like they're structural on the foundation. So I have just been looking around, kind of shopping around, some folks for uh, what's it called for lending and everything, because I think I could get this pretty cheap, believe it or not. And so, actually, believe it or not, Huntington Bank, they'll actually meet me down all the way to 50,000 for a 30-year loan, which I'm like,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I was like, yo, let's go. And they actually
But
have this promo going on that if it's a C class or below, they'll give you rate credits as well. So
nice.
yeah, this one unfortunately doesn't qualify for it. So I'm like, oh yeah, it's a
Hmm.
all right. I don't get the credit, but hey, it means it's in a good area. So yeah. So
But
that's the plan.
that's in your name, right? You're saying.
Right. Yeah, I'll just be my
Yeah,
name. I'm not
yeah.
I tried to mess with the LLC, and the Ohio thing was such I was gonna talk about that today as well. It's like it was a dumpster fire just getting it done because my LLC was in Wyoming. Big mistake because Ohio for rentals, they only do um they recognize Ohio LLCs. So for in the purpose because for when it comes to like kicking tenants out and everything. So yeah. Curtis, good to see you, man.
Hey, hey,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
School
guess it's
just
gonna be a
got over.
hey, hey. Oh, nice.
Oh, so
For the summer or just
you don't
for the
respond
day?
to my text though. You just jump in here. Is that how it works now?
Oh, I
Yeah.
should reply, huh?
Oh, yeah. No, Mark, thanks for being patient with everything. It's one of those where I know work's been just gnarly. So, but yeah, the end, hey, Flavia. Good to
Hey
see you
guys,
guys.
how's it going?
Good, good.
Good.
Yeah, just kind of shooting the breeze. So, yeah. Um, oh yeah, Liam, I guess since you are since you work with other lenders and everything, I was telling Mark that I've been kind of shopping around for lenders and everything, and
hmm
I for my Ohio property, I worked with Huntington Bank. I wouldn't say that it was the best experience, but it definitely was one of those where, hey, at least I got what I wanted, and they have a promo going on for if you buy C class below, they will actually give you buy down credits for your rate. I don't know a whole lot, but
Nice.
for
So it's
this
just
one,
area
yeah,
area dependent, area
yeah,
dependent on if they do that.
yeah, and they actually have a whole grid and everything. So the property I'm looking at doesn't qualify in Butler,
hmm
but there's other parts that do qualify. So
I know a couple programs like that, but I think the one like PNC is running a program like that, but I think it's owner occupied.
gotcha.
Where like some of them it's 15,000 off. One of them it's 5,000, I think. One of them's location dependent. One of them
Hmm.
is income dependent, I think.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, and this was one that was also interesting is that they will give you a loan up to as low as 50,000.
Oh,
50,000,
nice.
yeah, so
Yeah, because a lot of lenders don't want to go below a certain loan amount.
yeah. I've been running into that problem a lot recently. It's just like, hey, it's like even for my last property, I was at 97. They said, nope, gotta be 100.
That's crazy.
It's
Yeah.
like no wiggle room at all. So that's just been one of those weird situations.
Yeah, in that case, I'd just bump up the price and then ask for a seller's assist to cover
Yeah,
the difference, to be
yeah,
honest. But yeah, that you will run into that. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, but yeah. So I guess I was just talking about. I guess today was just one of those continuing my conversation. Jeremy's been really helpful with me,
Good.
helping figure out the property in Butler.
Hmm.
Um, I was curious, yeah, since you're here, how often are, I know this is a very wide range of question here. So for foundation problems, how hard is it to find someone and how bad is like, I guess, is there certain times a year that you can only get it done? I know it's like if winter comes in and stuff like that.
No, I mean, the summertime is definitely the busy season for them,
Okay.
but you can pretty much do it year round. Our weather doesn't get that bad. Like, they're not going to do it on any days in the winter where it's like freezing, like
Yeah.
super cold, but generally we don't have that much snow and the temperatures aren't that low during the wintertime where they can't do any work. Um,
Okay.
Foundation stuff. I mean, I have a really good foundation guy I go to, but there's plenty of them.
Okay.
Baker's waterproofing is like a popular one. Um, the guy I use, his name's Zach Morgan with
Hmm.
Advanced Basement Solutions and Foundation Repair.
Oh, nice.
So he's really good. He's quoted some stuff for me before and for clients. So I mean, I just had him out at a property yesterday or the day before, I think, looking at some stuff. So this basement was getting a bunch of water, so he's quoting like a sump pump system and everything.
Nice.
But yeah, he does foundation repair as well. So like I always have him looking at like a wall that's bowing or something like that. Or shoring up some joists in the basement. So
Okay.
he's my go-to guy for that, and his pricing's pretty good from what I've seen, and he's easy to
Oh,
work with. So I like
awesome.
using him. I pretty much go to him for all that stuff.
Nice. That's good
Hmm.
to know. Yeah. Yeah, this property has no bowing or anything like that, but it's just one of those where you definitely see some putty marks saying, "Oh, what's this?" And
Yeah,
so, yeah.
that's pretty typical. Usually there's these houses tend to settle over time, and it's kind of just a matter of how much is it settled? Is it still moving, or is it like fully kind of done moving? It hasn't moved in the past 20 years or whatever. Um, and then you can kind of go from there. Like most of the time, Jeremy and I can kind of look at a place and see like, is this a problem or is it just natural settlement over time? Or if we're kind of it's a gray area, we'll just get like a structural engineer to come look at it and assess it. So, and we have a couple good guys that we use for that too.
Okay, great. Yeah,
Hmm.
because I think I'm going to move forward in that way. It's just enough. So, and then
Yeah, exactly. Just enough to get it looked at by a professional. And
yeah.
a lot of times it's not a major issue, but sometimes yeah, you do need to throw up a support column or something along those lines to prevent any further movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then I guess what was the other thing? Oh, I guess what once again, this is I'm going throwing wide nets here, is that uh because I was able to dodge knob and tube last time, I'm not sure if this one has it or not, just looking at the attic. The attic is just a little suspicious.
Yeah.
Downstairs looks fine, but what I guess what do you see as the availability usually for electricians and I guess wait times?
That's a good question. I mean, I have like two individuals that I would typically reach out to for something like that.
Hmm.
Um, Also, like going through like just a GC, a general contractor,
Yeah.
can be good if you need to like really get some knob and tube stuff addressed.
Yeah.
But my one or two like individual electricians, they can do it. They are just like typical kind of subcontractors where the communication is great. You might be,
Right.
you got to get them on site and get them to do the job. But if they do that, they're good.
Right.
So it depends how much you're looking to do. Like, are
Okay.
you just rewiring the basement? Like I just had this like last weekend. Um, there's a
Yeah.
whole basement, not all of it, but there's a lot of knob and tube in the basement that they just rewired the basement.
Hmm.
But if you need to do the whole house, like it's more involved in that sense. So I
Right.
usually kind of like there's a couple people. One's an actual electrician. One is like a inspection repairs person, but I know he has an electrician in his Rolodex, so I'll ask
Right.
him to fix it. Um, and then third, you could just go with a normal GC and they'll get it addressed.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the basement looked fine. That was the interesting. The basement first and second floor looked okay. It was just the third, like the attic
You'll
area
see
that
that in
looked,
the attic,
yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
typically it's if there's exposed rafters and you can see some wiring in the attic, you get a good sense of is it knob and tube, if there's a whole house knob and tube, or is it like, partially knob and tube. But
Yeah.
it's not uncommon. Um, Ideally you can just fix the wiring in the attic. Like
Okay.
I know you can't insulate around knob and tube, like that's a big no-no because it's
Yeah.
technically flammable.
Right.
So we see that in the attic sometimes is like the attic needs insulated, but it's knob and tube, so you have to change the wiring first before you insulate it.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it just depends kind of.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you.
Hmm.
I mean, those were the big questions I had for the week. Elena, great to see you. And so I guess Curtis, I guess you're here and I was interested. Are you also planning on making the outside investment into Pittsburgh?
More so, I'm just kind of just seeing kind of what y'all are up to over there.
Okay.
It seems very interesting because like the multifamily, at least from what I've seen like on like the Redfin and stuff, the prices are all over the place.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, maybe I need
Yeah.
to go to the group and see what is actually happening.
It's very area specific. Yeah, you'll see some super cheap properties. Honestly, like a couple streets over, you'll see super expensive properties. Like it's so street by street. Like that's why we don't like going by zip code in Pittsburgh because one zip code will have a class area and a C class area. It's more just based on neighborhood for the most part.
Okay, is there like, hey, this is the bad, don't go there.
There's a few of those. It's so funny you mentioned that. There's people ask me for like maps and stuff, like kind of showing that
Yeah.
stuff. There's this one, I don't know who made this, but there's a website called Hood Maps, which is it's hilarious. And honestly, it's so accurate. If you guys Google it, it's so funny. And it kind of goes like all of Pittsburgh, you can look and it has like funny descriptions on each neighborhood, but they're like eerily accurate, to be honest.
Oh, wow. That's a new one. Hood maps. All right, I might test
Yeah.
it. Might
Hood
test
Maps.
it in my area to see if it's accurate here.
Yeah, see, yeah. But last time I looked, I was like, oh, this is pretty close. But it just depends. I mean, there's definitely some areas I would stay away from regardless. And then there's some areas that are more C class, but they're good investment areas, like if you're looking for cash flow. And then less cash flow focused, but more like you're investing in the appreciation and the higher class of tenant base, uh, stuff like that.
Okay. What was
Yeah. And
the
Curtis, I just texted you
Niche.com is good
what
too.
oh niche.com. That's good.
Niche.com is good too.
Nice. I gotta test these
I'm
apps.
sorry, what's the name of it? Shut
The one that I mentioned is called Hood Maps. It's kind of a joke. Like I would, it's not a perfect science, but it's kind of funny if you want to generally see like what some of the areas are like. And then niche.com is also good for like area specific, class of neighborhood type
Yeah.
stuff.
Curtis, are you gonna look for a girlfriend over there, huh?
Pittsburgh was not on that map, unfortunately.
I'm a Steelers fan. out there.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. But yeah, so are you thinking about I guess we lost Curtis. Oh no, there it is. Sorry. No, yeah, I was looking at the items here. So yeah, are you thinking about I know, yeah, Tacoma, it's like the Washington area, it's pretty I don't know. I guess where I live in the Northwest, it was all pretty like very centric. So you would have the same area, same groups all in one area. Where, yeah, I'm kind of lucky that Pittsburgh's similar to Richmond because it's just street by street, it's all over the place. You just got to have to talk to the locals. That's the most important thing. And I think that's been the nice thing about with my spot in Butler that I'm looking at. Hopefully I get it, but I am about to make a pretty substantial disrespectful offer on it. So we'll see what happens. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah, so the thing was it's kind of like a 5% down house hack over here,
yeah.
kind of like the same as a investment property over there. It's about the same for how much I'd have to put down.
Wow. That's insane. Yeah. But I would definitely say that, yeah, it's definitely a great spot to look at. I think there's a lot of, but I'm just, the more I look at it every day, maybe I'm just getting biased here, but I'm excited about really looking in this area. So I think one of the biggest oh yeah, Liam, I guess you were talking about areas near the airport last time I was on with you.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, are you looking, is it north towards, I guess, the Beaver area, or is it more just further going west towards the Ohio area?
I would say in between like the airport and downtown,
Okay,
kind of like anything that bleeds out from Robinson. So all the areas that are
gotcha.
kind of close to Robinson are like areas I'm bullish on. Robinson
Okay,
Township, Moon Township, stuff like that. Yeah.
okay,
I expect to see that kind of area bleed out, get more gentrified, stuff like that.
gotcha.
Yeah.
That was an interesting area. There was the place, was it
Oh, Coriopolis. Yeah.
Coriopolis, thank you.
Yep.
That was an area that
I don't
I don't
mind
know.
Coriopolis. Yeah. I
Okay.
don't mind that area. Yeah.
Yeah, do you have worries about it being right on the river? Do you ever think about, I guess, insurance or anything like that?
No, I mean, if you look at the FEMA flood map, like if you just go on the
Mhm.
FEMA website and check the floodplains, uh, like in any given area, you'll have an idea
Yeah.
of like if it's close to a flood zone or bordering it or whatever. So
Yeah.
as long as that checks out, I'm not really too concerned. If you're far enough from like the floodplain, then I don't see any issues. Like I don't think the floodplain's gonna move like half a mile away or whatever at some point in the
Okay.
next however many years. So as long as you're not in the floodplain, then you should be good to go. And yeah, I usually just check directly on the FEMA website for that. They have a map, interactive map. You can just look up the
Okay.
address.
Excellent. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm generally flood zones are a no-go. Yeah, because insurance is a pain. You'll pay like a pretty large premium in your annual insurance, and that pretty much eliminates any cash flow you would have gotten anyways. So
Right.
floodplains are a no-go.
And actually, this brings in because I had to deal with this in Ohio. Do you have to deal with mining insurance? Because I know you have the shale area right there, and then
I've never dealt with it. I mean, we have a certain disclosure called an OGM disclosure, oil,
mhm,
gas, and minimum mineral rights disclosure.
right.
I've never seen one. Maybe once there was like someone had a lease with some company for mineral rights. Jeremy might
Okay.
actually have one. I think he gets a check in the mail every month or every year randomly because someone
Wow.
was like, I don't know, something about the mineral rights. But I've never really had it come into play.
Okay.
Usually those aren't around, or they're like, yeah, people don't know about them or something. I don't know. But I've
Okay.
never had one where that's a thing. Maybe when you get more and more like rural, that comes into play, but I
Right.
haven't seen it.
Okay. So, like, say Butler, was that too rural or that more out
No,
there? Or?
I think you still have like somewhat of a densely populated area there, so I don't expect like a whole bunch of oil, gas, and mineral rights stuff to come up, you know.
Okay,
And
good.
either way, the seller should be able to disclose that on that OGM disclosure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Jim, great
Hey,
to see you.
how's it going?
Good, good.
Hey, Jim.
Hey, hey, Liam, I got a question. How is the building department to work with in the county, not Pittsburgh? I don't want to deal with them.
County is better than city. City's the worst, I think. And then, yeah, I don't think the county's as bad. It depends, like, on each municipality that you're working within. But like some are harder, like Mount Oliver, I'm pretty sure is like a harder one to work with. They're paying on occupancy inspections and like building inspections. So it's more like municipality based, obviously, but
I'm looking towards I can't even pronounce it. Alcapia or whatever it's called.
Aliquippa, yeah.
Aliquippa.
I think they're pretty reasonable to work with. Like I had a client, that one that I just mentioned with the knob and tube in the basement, that was in Aliquippa, and they were pretty reasonable. Like I was working with the occupancy inspector, not the building inspector, but the way that guy kind of worked and their office like communicated and stuff, it was pretty casual, and he just wanted to make sure we were doing things the right way. But yeah, I don't think you'll have many issues. And the hope is that like in an area like that, they're gonna try to make things a little bit easier for investors to kind of like stir up some investment in the area and incentivize it. So I don't think they'd make it too hard in that area.
So are you having to, like in California, I have to get the plot plan, I have to draw the whole plans of the interior of the house. Then I have to do a Title 24, which is all energy calculations. So what kind of process is there? Do you have to actually draw it up or?
It depends on what you're doing to the house.
Well,
Like if you're
okay.
removing a bunch of walls or
I'm
like
not removing walls, but I
yeah.
have full gut and new electrical, new plumbing.
Yeah, then you'll have your electrical permit, your plumbing permit and inspections. If you're redoing any framing or moving walls, then probably have to get drawings at that point from an engineer, stamped drawings. But if you're not really redoing a lot of the framing and layout of the house, then it's not as involved as what you're mentioning in California. It's really just down to the components. Like I even think they'll do like a drywall inspection at some point. Make sure you're doing that right. But if you're bringing it
So
down to
it's a line item permit for the most part,
yes,
rather than
that
plan-based permit.
yeah, I think that's the case. That's the case with that I've seen, regardless of area. It's mainly based on component. Yeah, like
Gotcha.
electrical permit, plumbing permit, depending on area, like a drywall inspection before like you mud everything. I think. Um,
Yeah, they want to see the screws.
yeah, they want to. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So I think it's that's my understanding of it at least. Yeah.
Okay. Um. Oh, demolition. So are they're not really looking at that lead demolition or that asbestos. That's going to be up to that demolition company, correct?
Yes, I've never had it come up really. Yeah, I mean, if you've got asbestos or lead paint, maybe like it's kind of like the demo company would just make you aware of that, and maybe there's like a higher dollar amount in order to properly remediate that stuff, you know? But I don't think it's coming up during like the permitting or inspection process as much. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because that's either I'm going to talk to you or I'm going to talk to Jeremy. I'm going back and forth on that, but I'm kind of I tightened up my area. Now I
Hmm.
want to pick a property and I want to pay somebody to get me an estimate.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna fly out, do my own plumbing and my own electrical, and probably my own HVAC. I might hire an
Nice.
HVAC company locally to do the final connections, but I'll do all of my ducting and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
So but this I want to get that process going so I have an understanding before like August, so I know that way once my money's turned and flipped out of my properties, that I have someplace to go right away.
Yeah, I saw a decent property come from a wholesaler today in Aliquippa. That looked good, like
Well,
48 grand purchase price.
send it to me.
I'll send it to you. Yeah, it's a wholesaler we work with a lot actually. Jeremy and I know these guys pretty well, and we've worked with them a bunch. So they're really good. Two younger dudes based out of Ohio, I think, but they do a
Nice.
lot of deals here in Pittsburgh. Yeah, so that again, that one I mentioned in Aliquippa a second ago, the one that the knob and tube in the basement. My client bought that deal off of them in Aliquippa as well. But they just sent out one this morning that I liked for like a Burr property, single family house. It's actually in a better section of Aliquippa too. It's in Hope. Actually, it's in Hopewell. Yeah, Hopewell, which is like actually a pretty decent area. 48
Yeah,
grand.
definitely send that to me because if I can find private money in that, then I'll get that process rolling.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send it over.
So,
That I liked that one. Yeah, and I like that area, Hopewell. Yep.
yeah, we'll leverage Jeremy. Maybe he'll give me private money.
Hell yeah.
I watched Mark's thing yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I appreciate it. I don't want to take over too much of this.
No,
Yeah,
no, no,
we
no.
got good hard money lenders if you end up needing it too. Like
Okay.
we got good local guys. I like working with the local guys instead of like the big national ones. They're easier to get deals done and they have a better understanding of the Pittsburgh market, you know.
Yeah, I'm definitely going the same way. I don't want to deal with
Kiavi.
Kiavi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
no,
suck.
thank you. That
They're
just looks like a whole cluster.
they have really good terms and they serve a purpose. I've had clients use them, so I've dealt with them a lot. But yeah, it's just more involved. They have weird requirements because they invest on a national basis. But like one of the ones we see a lot, I think with backflip, is the renovation cost can't be over the purchase price. I'm like any good burr in Pittsburgh, like that's gonna be the case. Like if you're buying a place for 30 or 48 grand, like your rehab's likely going to be over that. So it doesn't really
Yeah.
apply. It doesn't really work here in this market. So that's
Yeah,
why I
I'm
like using
figuring
local guys.
if you like the property you're talking about 50,000, I'm thinking I'm gonna need at least another 80, so it's gonna be about 130,000.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And Hopewell ARVs are a little bit higher, so maybe like high hundreds on ARV, I would think.
Perfect. Yeah, the whole purpose is to get them paid back and be able to have 25% in. So I
Yep.
have all my money back and I just switch over to the next one.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Like refining with about 75% loan to value on the back end is
Exactly.
typically what we're
Yep.
seeing. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Because my thought is I've got private money on one side, I have my HELOC. I want to put my HELOC away and just use private money, and then if I run into a situation, I have my HELOC at the back burner.
That's exactly what I'm doing right now. Like you want to have that cash or that HELOC on hand just in case for interest reserves or any reserves on if rehab goes a little bit over budget or takes a little bit longer. Like that's the way I would do it too.
Yeah.
Like, you take advantage of the hard money, private money, but then, have your HELOC on the side in case anything for reserves, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always hard. And I was watching those guys yesterday. It's always hard to get over those points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
I
just extra
know.
money. It's like, wait a minute, I don't want to spend that.
I know. Yeah, they're hard to look at for sure.
But once you get into it, if I don't remember, I think it was Tyler who was saying it. Once you figure it out, that's a line item and it's a tool. Just keep going.
That's the thing. It's a tool. Yeah. If on the back end you're getting a good, cash flowing property with some equity in it, it's a small price to pay.
Yeah, and you're getting cash on cash return immediately from the burr.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, if I can get a cash flow property, have nothing in it, that's just freaking
Yeah,
bonus.
that's ideal. Yeah.
What's your thought of an STR in Aliquippa?
It's a no-go for me.
Really?
It's not quite there. I mean, so most of the burrs are going to be generally more C, maybe C plus area. Like Hopewell, I would call C plus. It's a decent area. But with the lower property values, they make sense for burrs, but you're not going to have great luck with a short-term and midterm rental in those particular areas. You're going to want to be in B or better, especially nowadays. During COVID, when you could kind of just throw anything up on Airbnb and it would crush it, you probably had a little bit more wiggle room. But now I think it's tightened up a little bit, where you really have to bring a good product to a good area if you're going to do short-term and midterm rental. So I'd want to be in like a B plus or better area, closer to the city, something like
My
that.
thought was I want to do a short-term rental or a mid-term rental or even a pad split where I can have a couple rooms or I can keep the STR for me when I go into town to do my work. And then I'd
Mhm.
utilize the garage for my, so I'd buy a truck, I'd buy equipment that stays in that short-term rental or pad split. So
Yeah.
now I'm just flying out, getting an Uber, getting to my truck, get my equipment, going to the job site.
Yeah, pad split we hear about a lot too. I haven't seen it. Actually, I have a client who might be doing that in Squirrel Hill because it's
Oh,
more
nice.
like college student
Yeah.
base where they might be open to renting a room. But otherwise, I feel like our prices here for rent are pretty reasonable. So instead of renting a room, somebody will just rent a studio or a one bedroom. Like you
But
can
then
find an
aren't they
apartment.
tied up to a lease in that case where a pad split, you can have that as a 3 month or a 2 month or something like that?
Yeah, that would be more like a midterm rental situation. You could definitely do that. I have a client who does that in a couple other areas, but she's implementing that in Pittsburgh now with this property she just bought. Um, Yeah, she might do like a midterm rental, rent by the room type thing. I wouldn't I wouldn't say Aliquippa is great for that. I think you're asking for management headaches in that
Yeah.
sense. It's already kind of a more management intensive area. And I think if you add a layer of like more logistics in terms of like people moving in and out every couple months, more transient tenant base, I think you're asking for headaches in that sense. So
So where would be a better area that's closer to Ellicott to get to have a short-term rental for doing what I want to do?
anything short-term rental wise nowadays, I'd say you want to be like in one of the somewhat higher end neighborhoods in the East End, or maybe like a single family burster, I guess you could call it, like burr into a short-term rental.
Right.
You're gonna want to be in a like a B area. So in that case, what that means essentially is you might be leaving a little bit more money in the deal on the back end because the nicer areas have higher property values, which means the rent to price ratios aren't as good, so you can't pull as much money back out of the deal after you refi. So you might not get that 75% loan to value if you're in a higher quality area. Um, Unless you're in your personal name, you're buying on your personal name because they'll just underwrite your income and give you 75 or 80% based on that. But if you're in an LLC, they're going to underwrite based on DSCR, and the DSCR threshold is harder to hit on a single family house in like a B or A area. So you might be leaving a little bit more money in the deal, which can be fine. But in those areas, you could pad split midterm rental, short term rental. But I would say like B areas, like Mount Washington would be good,
And
or
how far away from that
it's far away from. I mean, it's more in the city. Anything closer to the city, in the
well, I don't
city.
want I definitely don't want to go to city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't.
Yeah. I mean, you're generally going to be in the city limits. Yeah,
Okay.
generally. If you want short-term rentals to make sense now, in my opinion, because I've seen a whole cycle go through where it's like people were throwing anything up and killing it, then it kind of faded out. Uh, Demand kind of dried up a little bit for the short-term rentals like 2023. Um, and now we're back to a kind of normal market where it's like you got to be in a good area, you got to have like a good product, and then you'll do well. But kind of just throwing them up anywhere doesn't really work as well as it did during COVID, I would say.
Are there properties in L? I'll never be able to figure out it.
The
So,
quip, just call it the
uh,
quip.
the quip. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. In the quip that have multiple doors on it.
Yeah, there's multi-units there. Yep, for sure. Those can be good for like a multi-unit burr. You
Yeah.
can find those in Alcopa. Like
Oh,
that's those same wholesalers send some stuff out like that every now and then.
gotcha. Because what I'm thinking about on the back end of that, then I have a long-term rental on that. I'll short because I'm not looking to make a ton of money on the short-term rental.
Hmm.
I'm looking at a base of operations. Because if I'm going to do this, I'm doing 20 properties out there.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
going all in. It's not, and it's not going to be slow. It's going to be 5 a year.
Yep.
Wow.
So once I get to a system and my system's done, I'm trying to change my whole business to this aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something it's smart to think about that up front and like make sure you have like a base of operations or whatever. You have some place where you can be flexible about when you're coming to town and working on stuff. So it's good to think about that. I think it depends on the property. I guess I would say depends.
Well, it saves me time and money, bottom line, in
Yeah.
production.
Yep.
If the contractors are too scheduled out there, I'm not gonna sit and have my private money. Wait a minute, this is
Great
due in two
point.
months. I'm
Yep.
flying out there getting it done.
Yeah, I know. It's like the rule. Once you start looking at like the amount of money that goes out the window every single day you hold it when you have private
Exactly.
money, like it's like, all right, let's get this finished up.
Yeah, and people are busy. They've got
Yeah.
other stuff going on, so you got to take that into account. And if you're not
Hmm.
ready to deal with that, then and that's why because I've got what I'm doing now. I'm learning a lot from these, but I need to make sure I have everything dialed being out of state.
Yeah,
That's a big
definitely.
deal.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
huge. Yep.
So yeah, definitely. So anything wholesale you see, send it to me.
I'll send this one to you. You might be interested. I think I have your email, Jim. I
Yeah,
don't know
and
if I
then
do.
especially if you, I don't know how to, if you have an idea of how to set up the private money. Because if I can get a private money and a deal like that, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I
Nice.
mean, it's pretty easy. We'll just like intro you on an email or text exchange or whatever to like our couple guys that are usually good for hard money and we know work with out of state people.
Okay.
So it's a pretty simple process for the most part.
Yeah, one of these years, and Mark's gonna give me a hard time about this. I'll get my YouTube channel running.
Let's go.
There we go.
I've got a bunch of video. I just got to do the introduction, and I just got too much going on. Yesterday was a massive stress day because I close on another property tomorrow.
Good for you.
And I was thinking I have to get all this done right now. And I go, wait a minute. I bought this because I wanted to be able to just move into the next one, not have to do them all at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'll let some other people talk.
No, you're fine.
Owen.
Good. It's great questions, Jim. So no, keep them up. Val, great to see you. Let's see, Elena, I know you were here. Just wanted to see if you had any questions as well.
I'm here. I'm here, and I'm just fly on the wall because my priorities right now is to pack the family. We're going out of the country for a summer, so I'm learning about Pittsburgh, but I'm not the person to do any actions, so I don't want to take the space and the oxygen from people who actually do something. I'm just learning.
No, that's you're here to ask and you're don't worry about it. You're not taking anybody's time. I mean,
The idea that you have the pockets of A, B, and C markets mixed together is my primary focus right now. I won't be able to validate it until I get on the grounds by the end
mhm.
of the summer. But that's new to me. New Jersey is not like that.
Yeah.
Um,
We get that a lot with people who are not based in Pittsburgh.
so to me, investing is easier once you know your pockets, and I do not know. I didn't decide on my pockets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we generally say, I generally say it's good to cast a wide net, but you really have to lean on people who have real knowledge of the market, like whoever the agent would be. It's like they need to know which street is good, which street is bad, because it can come down to street level or block down to like the block. So we'll generally know like based on looking at the property online, like if it's in a good area or bad. But sometimes like once we get on site, it's like, oh, it's not in as good of a section as we thought it was. And then either we pass or, you figure that out on the price. But yeah, it takes like real knowledge, like boots on the ground knowledge,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
determine which are the good sections, which are the bad sections. Yeah.
And not only that, which sections I'm willing to focus on.
Yep. Yeah, it
Because
depends on your goals. If you're looking for cash flow, then that'll kind of determine which sections you want to be in. If you're looking for like more just park some money, get some appreciation, ease of management, good tenants, then that'll kind of dictate your areas. So
And
it
that's
just
why I
depends.
appreciate that you listed Moon Township, Robinson. I will definitely research those areas because I'm probably in the long-term game of starting in the areas that will be on the rise in the next 10 years
Yeah. And
because
the
I can wait that long.
nice thing is even the good areas, those areas, Moon, for example, like you can still get good cash flow in those areas, like 1% rule, I guess, even in our B areas, a lot of them stabilize to around 1% roll. So you're still getting good tenants, decent cash flow, good appreciation. Um, like you don't need to be in the bad areas to get some sort of cash flow, which is nice about Pittsburgh. We can generally get 1% roll in a lot of different areas. So yeah.
Yeah, I was researching the entire country, and for me, it wasn't about getting the tenants in. I know that you can get tenants in lots of areas. For me, it was always the diversity of the jobs.
Hmm. Yeah.
What is the employment situation now, and how is it going to look 10 years from now?
Right.
And I did not find the market anywhere in the United States as diverse and so well um it's a rich it's a rich job market, so as long
Yeah,
as people
definitely.
work and they can pay rent, that's the bottom line.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of different job sectors here, whether it's financial services or law or medicine or tech, all these things, and especially the tech scene is growing a lot. And we don't see that going in the other direction. So yeah, younger people moving here, uh, the more remote workers there are, I think the more people who might move to Pittsburgh because it's such a cheap area, if you could, live remotely or work remotely and live somewhere,
Yeah,
with good quality living but low cost of living, that makes sense.
yeah,
So we're definitely trending in the right direction. But we already have like a lot of different job sectors people can work from. Yeah.
yeah.
But
That's
that's
why I'm
very
trending
important.
towards B plus A market. But once again, I don't remember which one of the Zuber's webinars. Three Amigos, when they say even if you pick a few zip codes, pick them adjacent, and I need to drive there. I'm probably going to be there 4 times a year, like quarterly to visit. So I need to make sure that in one ride or one trip, I can cover whatever properties there will be there.
Yep.
So that's on to-do list in September.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let us know
Okay.
because we can maybe, point you in the right direction based on,
Thank you.
different areas that might be worth driving around and checking out while you're here.
Great, will do.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you, Lena. Val, I see you, sir. How's it going? Oh,
He's on
I think you're
mute.
muted. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, you're muted. Might be on the phone. It's okay. Not a problem.
I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, no problem. No problem. So let's see. No, it's not on my side thing, but okay.
What's the tenant screening like? So in my market, I can set the credit score to like 700 and find tons of people. So what's it like there?
Usually it's 600. Um, Sometimes you can go higher if you're in like a better area. You could put up 650 or whatever and still get tons of tenants. Um, Generally, I think like I'll speak to like some of the management companies that I know when they're leasing. It's 600 credit score. You make minimum 3 times the rent each month gross. Uh, no evictions, good references, no smoking. Like those are the items they'll put in the description on the listing as like a pre-qualification. But typically 600. Yeah.
Is that hard to get, or is it
I don't think so.
no?
No.
Okay.
You shouldn't have any issue with that. Yeah. And
No,
if you're in
no.
like a better area, I leased a place it was in Garfield technically, which is kind of like not a fully transitioned area yet. Still kind of like, we're seeing some renovations here and there, but not the greatest section yet. But I'm very
Right.
bullish on it because it's right next to Bloomfield, which is very nice. Very nice area. So it was in Garfield, but listing this nice rental in Garfield, and we got like 5 applicants, all with like 780 or 800 credit scores. So
Nice. Wow. That's
yeah, it was
fantastic.
a really good pool of applicants. I
Yeah.
was surprised.
Wow. Yeah. I know it's like for me, it's yeah, that's impossible to see. They're saying
Yeah,
most of the people in my area, they're saying, "Oh yeah, good luck. Maybe
yeah, it's not typical. Yeah,
600.
yep,
Yeah, go for it."
yep.
Wow. And then I guess okay. And I guess because when Jim was talking about HVAC and everything, who's the main person or main manufacturer out there that is used? Is it Carrier? Is it York or
For like furnaces
I,
and stuff.
yeah, furnaces and everything.
I mean, I see Goodman
Goodman?
furnaces a lot.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I've been seeing those a lot lately the past couple of years.
Okay. I was just kind of thinking about like either bulk deals or it's just who people work with and everything like that.
Yeah, I
So
got no idea. I just tell my furnace guy replace this, and
yeah.
then yeah, and then he kind of goes from there. I mean, it depends on the HVAC company you're working with. Like if you
Right.
trust them to pick the best thing, and based on the pricing you want and the size of the property, then I kind of am a little bit more hands off with like what manufacturing or what brand of furnace are you putting in or whatever it may be, but probably gotta have a little bit of trust with your HVAC person, to make sure they're gonna give you the right pricing on things and like good quality stuff. So
Nice. Gotcha. Okay, cool. And I see Mark's comment, Liam, if you want to jump on his lives, which I highly recommend, especially with
Where-
Curtis.
let me see. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds good, Mark. Shoot me a text or something. I'll get it on the calendar.
Yeah.
I live and die by my calendar. If it's on my calendar, I'll be there.
Oh, I'm the opposite. I remember most stuff, but it's if I put it on a calendar, I won't look at it. So
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, that's okay, great. And then Flavio, I see that you're on the fly on the wall as well. Any questions? Anything that you're wanting to talk about other than Mark and his good looks? Is that-
No, no, I just trying to learn the Pittsburgh market, but just kidding.
Oh yeah. Are you thinking about it seriously coming out here or? Because I think
I
Liam
don't know.
can.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I can't find any properties here in Washington.
Yeah.
I just want to know where everybody's buying.
Yeah, that's a good spot. Yeah. I know Washington, I wish. Many regrets not getting out there, but oh well.
Would it be possible for you to kind of like walk through a deal? So for those of us that may not know the area or things to think about, because it's right, because it's not all just about the math, but could you guys maybe pull up like a Redfin deal or share your screen and kind of just to talk us through it?
I could walk you through that wholesale deal that I mentioned in the gym if you
Yeah.
want. Show you
Great.
why I think it's a good burr. I actually haven't even really dove into it yet, so that might be good to do. Let me see.
Oh yeah.
Um, let's do this. Okay. All right. So, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
No.
Now we can.
Now we
Fuck,
can.
I've been trying to talk for like 15 minutes.
Alright.
All right, just making sure.
All
Hey
right.
Steve.
Wait, but Liam, you on Monday or Wednesday? Just letting you know, Curtis is probably gonna be on Wednesday, so
Okay.
Monday will probably be more fun.
All
No,
right.
whatever day you want, whatever day you rather be on.
Let me see. I'll look real quick and let you know.
Okay, cool.
Either one is good for me. I don't have anything on the schedule for either of those today, so I can free up the time. Doesn't
All
matter.
right.
Whatever you think is better, Mark.
As of now, we can put Wednesday in. I'll email you both.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Cool. All right. So this one I would classify as like a good single family burr property. So this is in Aliquippa. So first thing that comes to mind is Aliquippa is good for burrs because the values on the back end are low enough. I know it has good rent to price ratios. So those rents, those market rents on the back end relative to the ARV are quite good, which means you'll be able to pull out that 75 or 80% loan to value and still cash flow. So looking at the picture looks pretty good. House, like the siding doesn't look in terrible shape. Looks like a nice little house somebody would like to rent. Um, let me see. So yeah, this is Clay and Landon. They do some wholesaling stuff. Sits on a half acre. Da 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 da. Oh, so didn't love this when I saw it. The house is currently on a well, but the well collapsed. The new owner will either need to drill a new well or tap into the public water line, which would be a 75 feet run, 6 to 8 grand. Actually, not that
It's
terrible.
not bad. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not that terrible. If the numbers work there, the numbers work there. So factor that into the rehab costs and see if it
Wow,
works.
that
But
is cheap.
yeah, so I mean, yeah, for 75 feet to run. But yeah, that's what I would do. I wouldn't want to deal with any wells. I would tap into the public water line. That's some one nuance we see with this one. So here they've got some comps, 138, 160, 140, 155. So we'll look at that in a second. But let's look at the pictures. So let's see. Clay and Landon
What
do.
what
What's
is
that?
the average rent? What is the average rent in that kind of property?
So I'll show you, like, typically what I'm doing when I'm like underwriting something, I'll use this website, Rentometer, just so I can get like a good baseline. What is this? It's a 2 bed, 1 bath, so a little bit smaller. Rents might not be as high as I'd like to see. And also you can see here, there's not a ton of data they have to pull on, which is why you're seeing quite the range here in rents. But 2 bedroom, I mean, is this Hopewell or let's see. It's more in Hopewell, so the rent should be better there. And typically, if there's not a lot of data to pull on for this rent amount, I'll kind of cross-reference with Zillow or Bigger Pockets rent estimator and see if I can pull together a bunch of information on it to kind of nail down a better rent amount. But I just want to see what particular area this is in, whether it's more. So Aliquip is like right here. Ambridge is here. We like Ambridge. And this is more Hopewell here. So Hopewell is like a better section. It can be good for flips. It can be good for burrs. Let's see here. It's kind of like in the middle of the woods here. It looks like. Is this the driveway? I think it's this one right here. Or it's like in the back here somewhere. Okay, so can't see much from the Google Street View.
Is that your wholesale deal?
Yes. Yep. And then so what was I gonna do after that? So you can look at comps too. So let's see. Obviously, this is the MLS. This is what Jeremy and I get access to. So I would go in here, plug in the address to see what things are selling for on the back end. With a 2-1 house, it might be a little tougher. Like 200, 800 square foot house. It depends how much rehab is needed. Actually, I want to go back to the pictures because if it's basically turnkey or only needs some stuff, like a few things here and there, then it could be great. But if it needs a full overhaul and you're into it for a lot of money, then it might not work as well as on the back end.
Oh wow, the ceiling's already gone.
Yep, ceiling's gone. The wiring looks decent right there, though. Not terrible.
Yeah.
It's a Romex.
Yeah.
But if you're already opened up, that eliminates a lot of the.
I completely agree. I'd prefer to have
Yeah.
it open up so you can
Yeah.
see what the hell is going on. Yeah.
Well, because
Yep.
pulling wire is nothing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yep. It's more when you're kind of fishing it through walls and stuff.
Yeah.
So I can't even tell which section of the house.
Oh,
we're in.
how
Okay.
old that furnace?
Furnace has probably got to go. Probably got
I
to
don't
go.
know. It's a question mark for you. Water heater.
Yeah. I mean, I would say just by looking at it, it's probably at the tail end of its life, but
Maybe
you might
it'll get by for a year or two. And
exactly. That's what I typically say. It's like I can tell it's old, but it might be working fine. You might get another 3 or 5 years out of it.
Yeah.
So tail end of its life, but you might have some years left in it if you service it. So at the
Right.
least, I would budget for the furnace to be serviced by an
Right.
HVAC professional, make sure everything's running properly, fix any small components in there that need fixed. But
Yeah,
you
see,
might not need a
my only
replacement.
drawback to that is I spend $1,000. I'm spending 20% to get it
Good
fixed,
point. Yep.
or I put 8 to 10 grand and I have a brand new system.
Yeah, my furnace guy, he notes that. Sometimes he's like, "Oh, you got to replace this thing. You only have this much time left, anyways. I'd probably just replace it." Like again, get somebody who's gonna be honest with you and kind of look
Yeah.
out for you and give you good suggestions when it comes to that stuff. But this, yeah, maybe have a few more years on it. Maybe don't have to replace it right away. Water heater looks good. Looks like you have breakers on that. Let's see.
Yeah, that looks like a newer box.
Yeah, it does, which is
Nice.
good sign. So you can tell like $48,000 for this house. And maybe, I mean, you got to spruce some things up, get it to highest and best use. But based on this picture alone, I could tell that it's not going to need a full overhaul. It's mostly like, fixing some things up, making it nice, maybe improve the kitchen a little bit. But
Yeah, the layout there sucked.
yep. Yeah, it looks like, is that the kitchen in the back there? Yeah.
Yeah, it needs a better Peninsula Island setup.
Yeah. So you could rework the kitchen. This is a decent amount of space on an 800 square foot house to work with something. You could do something
Yeah.
with this. Maybe get rid of the island and do an L shape or something.
Exactly. Yep.
And, you could work something out there and that wouldn't be that expensive. I would fully redo the bathroom, call it $7,000 to redo a bathroom.
Yep.
The shower surround doesn't even actually look that bad. So you could have this resurfaced or reglazed for like $800. Have them basically
Yeah, it's fine. It's a
banded.
fiberglass piece of crap shower. So
Yeah, so probably just tear it
I'm
out,
taking it
redo
out.
it.
Yeah, I want
Exactly.
something. Yeah.
Yep. So, get rid of the carpet, get rid of, I think that's wallpaper there. But all this stuff pretty manageable from what I'm seeing. Looks mostly cosmetic to me. So, I don't know. You're maybe at like, I would say 30 to 40,000 ballpark just off the pictures and repairs. That'll get you like a good way though. That'll get you to like basically highest and best use without overspending and like doing flip quality, because that's not what we're going for here. We're trying to make it a great rental. So in that sense, I'm starting to like this, because if it's 30 or 40,000 rehab and $48,000 purchase, you're all in for, call it 85, maybe 90, I guess you could say. Maybe you could bring that rehab budget down a little bit, not go as crazy on certain things. Don't do a tile shower. Don't do all new cabinets in the kitchen. You could just paint them and do new hardware. It doesn't look like you need to do new appliances here for a rental. I would keep those. It looks pretty good.
Well, it looks like they have a removable dishwasher. That's what's in the middle of the floor.
Oh yeah, yeah. Dishwashers are nice. Like that, if you want a higher end rental, I'd throw a dishwasher in there. Yeah, they do have the portable one. But yeah, you could maybe bring that rehab budget down to like 30. So yeah, call it 80, 85. You're all in for. If comps are here, like we'll look at comps in a second, but they got a couple here at 160, and then one at 140, two at 140. So, call it 150 ARV. You're all into it for 90. That's a pretty good percentage there. So 90 divided by 150. Oops, did that the wrong way. 90. Yeah, so you're all in for about 60% of ARV, which is actually unbelievable. Now, a couple things we need to figure out. Is that where actually comps are? Is that where it's going to appraise on the back end? Number two, are you actually going to spend about 40? You're going to be all into it, closing costs, rehab costs for about 90 grand. And then what would it rent for on the back end? Because that'll dictate, regardless of ARV, how much money are you going to be able to pull out of this deal. So
right. It's got a cash flow.
Yeah. So let's keep going with that scenario here. So 90 grand, 150. So say you can refi at, I mean, you'd probably get 80% loan value here, but let's say 75% for assumption purposes of that 150,000. That would be your loan amount.
I'm typically always 75% because I have DSCR.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm seeing them nowadays anyways, especially if the rate's a little bit higher, 75%. So this would be your new loan amount, which means you're pulling out 112,000 and you're only into it for 90. I mean, potentially. I mean, you'll have closing costs, you'll have all these other things. Like these are big round numbers, but you're potentially pulling out about, call it 15 or 20 grand. Plus you have equity in the deal. Plus it's cash flowing at the end of the day. So, I mean, those are round numbers. We dial all that stuff in. Like this is a quick how I would run through to see if it's even worth looking at. But like to me, I like the look of it. And this is all kind of pegs on like it's not that bad of a rehab. The house is already in decent shape and it's 48,000. Right. So, and this isn't a bad section here. Like I was looking at Google Street View. I'd rather you have it be a little bit more rural in this area, kind of like you're a little secluded here. than right in the middle of Aliquippa, where certain sections of Aliquippa can be a little bit rougher. This is a nice little spot. I think somebody would move into this place and not want to leave. They'd live there for a couple of years. Looks like there's a nice property right next door here. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah,
How,
this is what I like.
how big was the property?
800 square feet. It's a whole
Not
lot
the
of.
house, the actual land.
Good question. It said sits on a half acre.
Okay. Half
Yeah.
acre's a lot of room, depending on where
Built
the
in,
location of the house is.
so built in 1976. That's huge. We don't
Yeah.
see. I mean, that's basically brand new in Pittsburgh. Like that's a newer house. So I'd expect the wiring to be in great shape. I would expect them to run some of the plumbing a little bit better, like lower maintenance, capex, and repairs over time relative
Right.
to a house built in the 1920s. So all that bodes well. Maybe like ongoing maintenance isn't going to be as bad here. It's going to be
So
delivered
as an
vacant.
agent, you seeing these things, how do you not just take them all?
Well, I always say I get that question so much. Clients get first dibs. Like,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I just got my first flip under contract last week and I love this deal, but I sent it like 3 or 4 clients and they were all kind of sitting on their hands. They didn't really want it for one reason or another. So then I offered and I got under contract after that. But clients always get first dibs.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's what we do. We broker deals. And we're not always looking. Jerry and I are not always looking. It depends on our buy box at any given time, Um,
And it's got to be the right time, just like anybody else.
exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, this is one I like right now for sure. Actually, Clay and Landon texted me earlier and they're like, "Hey, can you look at that?" Um,
And this is from a wholesaler that you guys work with.
yeah, we've worked with them a bunch. There's a couple we really like in Pittsburgh that we know like do things the right way. These guys are one of them. They're like their buyers list isn't as built out either. So like some wholesalers, local wholesalers, they're really, really good. Their marketing's on point. They get good properties. They spend a bunch on, getting deals, and they're very established in the market. So even like this one flip, that a client offered on today, it was a wholesale deal, not even on the market, and it got 10 offers. These guys are kind of starting up. They've been doing it for a year or two, but their buyers list isn't as built out. So you're not dealing with as much competition as you might if you were on market or another wholesaler had it.
See, I'm really liking this property because what we were talking about now, I would basically business hack it. So you rent out this, I take that other half of the property, I build a garage on it. That
I was just going to say that. Yeah, Jim. I
Yeah.
mean, you got enough land to work on this
Yeah.
one to like make a little ADU or something like that, I think that, yeah, that's a great call, honestly. Yeah, I like it too. I imagine I'll have somebody for this. And also, yeah, I like the ones like this is something I would take down myself, Jim. If I was looking right away, if I didn't already have one under contract. On the single family burrs, like this is pretty close to my buy box. I want relatively cheaper properties, because those are the ones that cash flow on the back end. And also just lower stakes. The lower the purchase price, you're not dealing with a $200,000 property that you have to put 100 into. It's lower stakes. Something goes wrong, it's not as big of a deal because it's $50,000 property. You can usually work something out there. But for a single family burr, this would fit in my buy box as long as the layout works. So he said something about basement is unfinished, but it's big open space could easily be used as den, second living room, and third bedroom. So if you could convert that basement, typically it's not feasible to convert basements in Pittsburgh. It's just they're too wet. The houses were built too long ago. The foundations are old. But in this case, built in 1976, if ceiling heights are good, if any moisture can be managed in that basement, and you can convert that to a third bedroom, that would be huge.
Yeah.
Um,
That would be something I'd play if I took this. I'd play with that down the road because basement conversions aren't cheap.
yeah, for sure. And also, appraisal wise, they might not even count it as livable square feet because typically appraisers want to see it needs to be above grade or above the surface of the ground in order for them to count it as livable square feet. So for rent purposes, a tenant will likely use that basement if it's finished as a bedroom. But for appraisal purposes, you might not get the bump in ARV because an appraiser probably won't count that as an extra bedroom technically.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. So that's kind of like, oh, is it worth spending the extra amount to convert that basement? It may or may not be. You'll get more rent because functionally tenants will use it as a third bedroom, but you might not get that bump in ARV on the appraisal. But they'll take it into account. They'll be like, oh, this is a finished basement basically, and you'll get a bump in that sense, but not like extra bedroom bump
Right.
in ARV. But
So
yeah,
how would the process of this work? So let's say I wanted this. We go through the wholesaler, roughly a 30-day close. I have to find private money to get it done. So
Mhm.
it closes, let's say we're in June 10th, closes of depending on what the wholesaler is.
mid-July.
Yeah, mid-July.
Yep.
So then then I can take possession. It can sit for 15. Is there a tenant in there in place? Does it say that?
Nope. Says it'll be delivered vacant.
Okay.
Which
So
is
then I
important.
take position middle sort of the third part of July, and then I'd have to start the construction probably August 1.
Yeah, something like that. Yep. You line up the contractors ahead of time while you're under contract. Like I would go with one of our, I usually hook people up with like with 3 contractors, like our go-to guys. And, we'll typically walk in with a couple of them, get quotes while under contract. So you kind of hit the ground running, know what you're kind of getting into, uh, get them on the schedule for August 1, for example.
Well, I will tell you right now, if you have the time to do the legwork on this, I am extremely interested in this
I know.
property.
I'm glad. I'm glad that whoever asked to go through this deal because I do like this one. I
Yeah,
didn't have a
Curtis.
chance to fully dig into it earlier, but yeah, this is a good one. But yeah, it's a pretty simple process, Jim. It's like I tell Clay and Landon, "Hey, I got somebody for this." Um, I don't imagine they have anyone for it yet because they texted Jeremy and I in our group chat, specifically asked us to take a look at it, which usually means they're not getting blown up with interest quite yet, which sometimes does happen. But pretty simple. Like, hey, we'll do this. They send out an assignment agreement to sign with the price. Start talking with hard money people, get that dialed in, and then kind of go from there. Just let title work play
So
out.
I'm in the process of 3 burrs.
Mhm.
Is the hard money going to look at me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they will. It's deal dependent. And if they like the deal, if they like the numbers on the deal, they'll go after it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, because
At
I
least the
wouldn't have
local
as much to
guys.
do it. I wouldn't have as much to do with this one. It's a perfect trial. It's a nice, easy entry, low cost of entry,
Yeah,
quick
I
out.
agree.
Yeah,
And I can't even tell you how big of a deal it is that it's built in 1976 too. It's like, and the house is generally in good shape. Like that's such a plus.
right.
Usually if you're buying something at this price point, you're doing like a full turnover. But it's nice to know you're actually buying something that's in decent shape. There's cases to be made where it's like, you could gut something and if the numbers work, the numbers work. But I was a little concerned when I saw the ARVs that like, oh, if this needed 80 grand to work, this isn't going to make sense. But it just so happens, this one is already kind of close to making sense because the rehab's not as involved as it could have been. So yeah, I like the look of it.
Yeah, if you can do some legwork, you got my information. I am very interested in it.
All right. I think
If I
I have
don't
your
have to, I
email,
can't
Jim.
pull out anything out of the stuff I've already got. That's for sure. There's just
Okay. I mean, put your email in the chat. I'll just send this over to you because they have
Okay.
I like the way they draft up these emails because they actually do what Jeremy and I typically do is they get walkthrough videos of the property. Um, so yeah, I mean, at least take a look at it. Let me know if you need anything or you want to talk over it or whatever.
Well, and here's the thing on this type of thing. I know it's a wholesaler and everything else, but I'd rather pay you guys to deal with it.
Yeah, for sure. So if we're transacting, we always get our fee. It's a minimum of 3,000 is our fee for transacting something like this. But yeah, that's usually money well spent because we're making our
Absolutely.
clients.
I know nothing about the area. I would much rather have that legwork and pay you
Yeah,
guys to do it.
I wish I had the numbers on how much equity value we've created for our clients because it's such it's such a good way to sell ourselves. But yeah, that 3,000 is really nothing to worry about when you're getting all this equity on the back end of a deal plus cash flow. Uh, yeah, it's a no brainer.
Yeah, I'm extremely, extremely interested in this.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is popping a garage on there or an ADU? Is that difficult?
I mean, you'll have to get it permitted, but I don't think it'd be that hard. You have to get drawings for it, but with this amount of acreage or half an acre, that's enough space to work with. And again, this municipality, I don't think they're too bad to work with. I just like last week was talking with the borough about this occupancy inspection. They kind of give off the vibes that they're willing to work with you. They're friendly, which is, you know, a low bar, but it's nice to have when you're working with people at the borough. So I don't imagine to be too difficult to get done. And adding a garage would add some value to the house too. You know, it's not like
Right.
that's just dumping some money. I think that adds some value to the house because it's an 800 square foot house. So if people have a garage for some storage, in your case, you'll be using a gym, but
Yeah.
you know, with that size of house, having a garage for some extra storage would be a huge value add for anybody who would want to rent the place.
Is this on septic?
So it said it's on, good question. It doesn't say. We'd have to look into that because it's on a well, but doesn't say whether sewer is public.
If it's on well, it's definitely on septic.
Yeah.
And that's a big one too. We need
Yep. So I'll have
that
to
well
look
has
at
to be
that.
inspected.
I'll actually ask him that right now.
Because I'm dealing with well issues on one of my properties, and well can.
Yeah, I'm not a fan
I
I'm not a fan. Let me ask.
I don't have a problem with them. You just got to know it going in.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. I'll ask him right now, actually.
Now at home, I have a lot less problem because I can deal with some of it.
Hmm. Is that property on septic or public sewer?
Yeah, septic's easier than well. Well is a
Mhm.
lot of other things.
Yeah.
Like my current property,
Yeah,
we
you
have,
just need a septic inspection or whatever. I
yeah.
think that's what it's called.
Yeah, the well we had on mine, we had to pull the actual pump up, and the pump's bad. So we're gonna have to replace the pump. Then we're gonna have to add a water tank. I already have a pump from last year, so that thousand's already been spent for a year anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, this one looks good.
Yeah, I'm extremely interested in it. My
I'll
wife,
make sure
I don't know
you
if I'll
get the
be
first
married
look at
next
this
week
one.
if we do it.
I'll talk her into it if needed. Yeah, I'll wait to send it out to anybody until you take a good look at it, Jim.
Okay, no, I'll be looking at it right. Actually, I was going to go under Realtor. I prefer Realtor.com. It seems like it's easier to navigate. This is my personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's on there though.
Let's see. So I was going to look at comps real quick.
You can at least check the property out, even if it's not available.
Yeah, correct.
So, right.
Where's that property address?
It's
1302.
1302 Airport Road.
See,
Yeah,
I would the Falls Creek.
Clay said it's on septic.
Okay,
It's in Hopewell,
Hopewell.
technically, but that's like a neighborhood in the municipality of Aliquippa.
Yeah, because it's coming up Falls Creek.
So let's see here. So you can see here, I've got comps pulled up, and I just put the address in sometimes when I'm looking, and this is 1.5 miles from the subject address. And you can see these ones in Hopewell are more of a closer distance than some of the ones in Aliquippa. But like these are three good comps right here. 180, 150, about 160. And they're all 2 1s. This one's a 2 1.5. But Hopewell property values are a bit higher than Aliquippa. So these are
Yeah, nothing's coming up. It's just saying off market.
Yeah, nothing will come up on Realtor.
Yeah.
None of those because those all pull from the MLS, and since this is an off-market deal not posted on the MLS, it won't come up.
I love how they say estimated value 157.
I know, yeah. That's actually probably not far off. Yeah, these are decent little comps. I feel like I sold this one. These are obviously done really nicely.
Right. Yeah, no carpet.
Yeah.
That's nice.
See, these are exactly what I'm looking for right there.
Yep.
I'd prefer 3 1s or 3 2s,
Agree.
but a 1,000 square foot or a 1,200 square foot two, and I could add a bedroom somewhere.
Yep.
Think you found your spot, Jim.
Had a good, this one had some good appreciation on it. Sold in
That's a
what?
little bit more stress. No worries.
We'll make it as stress free as possible. That's what we try to do.
Jim, when you buy this, I need a little cut.
We'll be updating all of you guys, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll buy you drinks when we're in Vegas. I know you don't drink.
Awesome.
Perfect.
That's funny.
And I'll wear the gorilla suit with the Crocs.
There you go. Oh, nice. Just want to do a shout out to Steven, say, hey man, good to see you.
Jim, all I ask is you wear your shirt again on the Zoom lives. That's all I want.
I'll wear a different one. Just for
No,
you.
no, I want
I
that
loved it.
one.
So Mark, when do you close on yours?
I don't know. They're not being very, the tenants that are occupying the duplex are not being very, accommodating. So
Uh-oh.
we might just, we'll see.
Yeah, gotcha.
I mean, you finally got what you wanted from them, so it's kind of like, yeah.
Well, they're under market, so that the rents, I think that's why people are walking away, but like the agent said, we cannot scope from inside the basement for the duplex. We have to do it from the outside.
Oh, jeez.
And then the appraiser went today, and convoy messaged me and said, "Hey, the people aren't letting the appraisers in," and the agent supposedly said that we're backing out, and I was like, "Okay, that's news to me." So yeah, I messaged Alex and I said, "Hey, this is the message I got, so I don't know what's going on." But yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything after that, so.
So what you're saying is that if you take him, you're not gonna take them on as tenants. You're gonna let him go.
Um, I mean, I don't mind keeping them for a while. I mean, as long as they're paying, and
Yeah,
that way it gives me time to get the single family home a little bit up and running, and then after that, then we'll probably figure it out. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't need to do the deal, so I'm not in a rush or anything.
Oh yeah.
But we'll see.
Awesome.
Uh,
All right. Well, I love that. That was great to see, Liam. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks to whoever suggested that. That kind of worked out because I need to review that deal anyways.
That's Curtis.
Yeah.
is anyone else interested? If Jim doesn't, no, if Jim
I
doesn't
know.
take it, if Jim doesn't take it down,
It's
is
a good
anyone else
question,
here
Mark.
interested?
That's funny.
Flavio?
I know. It sounds like a Flavio deal. If Jim doesn't do it.
Man, there were a couple of good deals I saw this week that were like, oh, bangers. There's this one flip deal that came from a wholesaler we know that was just like an absolute winner. Um, there's another flip deal that looked good.
So in other words, there's plenty of opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a good week. I don't know why, but there were like several. There's a really nice duplex that I saw. Elena might have been interested in this one. Really good area. in the south of Pittsburgh for like 225, and we rarely see duplexes in this area trade for less than 300, and it looks in great shape. I think
Wow.
they just underpriced it by a lot. I don't know what they were doing, but I'm going to see it actually at 545. Um, but just yeah, a
Nice.
couple good deals hit the market or came through this week.
Hey Liam, I sent you an email just now. I don't know. I know the
Yep.
Rocks has. I know the Rocks has some rough areas, but can you take a look at that? Someone sent me this one.
Yeah, that's Realty Go. I saw this one come through earlier today as well. Um, yeah, let's see what
I'm,
section of the rocks it's in. That's the
this thing comes
question.
about, I might be stepping up my trip to beginning of July.
There
Love
you
it.
go. Yeah.
Love it. Go walk it together with a contractor.
Yeah.
All right, so what section is this in here?
What would you say cash flow, net cash flow? 300?
I'd have to look and really get a better idea on market rents for that area, Jim, because there wasn't a ton of data to go off. Um, Off the top of my head, I feel like market rents are probably in the 1,000 to 1,100 range. But I'd want to dig into that. Just looking
Okay.
at the numbers alone, though, and having a general field area, it'd be hard for me to think that you wouldn't be able to cash flow it a couple $100 a month.
Okay.
Um,
My minimum is going to be 200. If it's not 200, I don't. I mean, you
yeah,
get your money back, so there's the caveat.
yep,
Right.
yep, I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something I would dig into. But general feel, like for my initial kind of look over things, you should be able to cash flow that.
Well, and my thought is too. For these first 2-3 years that I'm doing this, I find those properties, get into them, get them rehab, get my money back, cash flow them for a couple hundred for the next 3 years, and then 1031 them out
Yep,
to something better, bigger and better.
yep, that's the play. Especially if you can get the timing right on the 1031.
Yeah.
I think Jeremy wants to do that a little bit, but he's planning on potentially selling to a couple of the tenants who are living in these properties, so then he can kind of time the 1031 however he wants, you know?
Nice.
Well, but then he's actually getting cash flow from because he's doing seller finance, or
I don't think so. I think
okay.
it's like kind of renting it to them until they're in a position
Oh, so it's
to get the
a
financing.
yeah, gotcha.
Mark, I like this. I like this one. This area isn't too bad. Am I looking at the right one? Glenway? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Google Street View and also on maps. This I don't think is a bad section of McKees Rocks at all. Um, Usually the area I would say to stay away from is if you look on Google Maps, it literally says McKees Rocks Bottoms. Typically I say to stay away from that section, just the bottoms. But this section is a little bit more up north. Uh, and also the area kind of, I guess, southwest towards like Wind Gap and Stowe Township. Those are decent areas too. Just McKees Rocks Bottoms is where I would say it's a little bit rougher there. Not quite worth buying in that section yet until it kind of improves. But this one here, yeah, I don't mind this section at all.
I guess Steven was asking also about the rocks. It's called Dorman Street or Dohrman Street.
Oh, Dorman. Yeah,
Yeah, looking at a commercial
I know
property
that
there.
street. That's a bit more in the bottoms. So, I mean, I wouldn't cross it off the list. I would just factor in, I mean, Street View doesn't look bad actually here. I would just be factoring a little bit more management intensiveness, uh, maybe a little bit more, you know, repairs and maintenance budget. But this street, I don't think is, the worst that the Rocks has to offer.
Gotcha.
I've definitely viewed a couple properties on the street before. Yeah, and it'll cash flow more too. I mean, so it's just a trade-off, you know. You don't want to be in the worst section, but you can still be like in an area that's improving or transitioning, and every person is different. So that'll be worth it to some people if they could get that extra cash flow that makes it make sense. You just kind of have to approach it on a case by case basis, depending on the property.
And actually, I heard Mark talking about you guys don't have prepayment penalties there. So how much does that jump up your rates in that area? DSCR based.
Depends on the lender. Depends on the lender if they do or don't have prepayment. So I know a lot of the credit unions
I
do
thought that he
not.
said it was some kind of a law or something.
With the I don't think credit unions can charge prepayment penalties. I looked into this recently, um, but I refied a deal just like last month that it does have a prepayment penalty. I bought it down from 5 years to 3 years. Uh, wasn't psyched about it, but is what it is.
But Jim, you're only doing DSCR though, right?
Right, correct. It's the only thing I can do.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure you're not gonna have prepayment penalty on those. Like he's like Liam's saying, the credit unions maybe like if you're doing personal, you know, traditional lending, then you won't. But if it's gonna be
Well, no,
DSR,
most DSCRs have prepayment.
yeah, no, but you cannot for Pennsylvania. So that's why the rate's gonna be slightly higher.
Right,
So if
right.
it's yeah, so for DSCR, you're not gonna be able to have the prepayment unless the
Yeah,
loan is big enough, I believe. That's what Convoy also said.
gotcha. 'Cause my broker for my local brokerage found me one that has no seasoning and no prepayment penalty, 787, 2.5 points.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if that's good, bad, indifferent, but
I mean, no prepayment and no seasoning is like a good trade-off for, 2.5 points sounds a little bit high, but depends. Like I'm paying, I think it was 2 points. I think pricing just improved. Like I'm currently refinancing one and it's no prepayment penalty. And I think it went back down to like 1.1 points, but just because pricing just improved in the last day or something, but it was going to be two. And depending on the lender, depending on how much underwriting or how involved the process is going to be, like I'm willing to pay an extra point or whatever if they're going to make it like not a headache for me to refi and I can do it on my own timeline and they're not going to put me through an entire underwriting process and stuff that I don't want to deal with. So it just depends. Like there's a trade-off depending on the lender you get, the terms you get.
are you holding your stuff in an LLC or a trust?
So I am my BRRRRs I'm holding in an LLC. Yeah. Now that I have it set up, I'll typically do my BRRRRs in LLC.
Because I think Mark was saying he tried to his all singles, but it's hard to get out of your LLCs.
Yeah, you gotta if you want to transfer it from your LLC to your personal name or your personal name to your LLC, you gotta pay a transfer tax. In the city, it's 5% total. It's a lot. It's high. Outside the city, it's typically 2% total. Now, if you're buying somewhere, that's split half and half between buyer and seller. But if you're just transferring from one entity to another or your personal name, then you have to pay that full transfer tax. So that's why sometimes it's smarter to have an idea where you want to keep it long term first. So you just don't have to unnecessarily pay 2% of the value of the house.
And that doesn't
And the
matter whether
transfer
you want to
tax.
transfer it yourself into your personal name now, or if you want to be able to sell it later or whatever else.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if anytime it's changing entity owners, then they'll charge it. Yeah.
Mark, is your LLC in Pennsylvania or somewhere else?
Yeah, I have my LLCs are in Pennsylvania, but then the holding company's in Wyoming.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you have multiple. You have an LLC for every property.
Yeah, but now if I buy anything, I'm just gonna dump it into an LLC that I have.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna open up any new ones.
I
Right.
think that's smart because, I mean, I think Jeremy's rule of thumb is the amount of equity in each
Yeah.
LLC versus one property in each LLC because it costs to do your taxes on an LLC, at the end of the year, you know, it's not cheap. So you don't want to have, at least in Pittsburgh, I think because the property values are lower, it doesn't make sense to have one property in each LLC because any cash flow you'd get from that one particular property, you're paying just to do your taxes on that LLC each year. If you have a bunch of LLCs you're doing taxes on. So like I think in Pittsburgh it makes sense to hold a couple in any particular LLC. And then once you get to a certain amount of equity value in that LLC, maybe you start a new one because you don't want a bunch of equity exposed in one particular LLC, like all your properties, like $1 million worth of equity in there. Because, if you get sued for that in that particular LLC, you have a bunch of capital at risk. So have like a couple handful of properties in there, then start a new one. Or if you happen to get like a bunch of appreciation and you have a bunch of equity in one particular LLC, start a new one from there. But yeah, I think it makes more sense to not do one property and one LLC for every single one here in Pittsburgh.
So if this transaction went through, would I be okay to hold it in my personal name just to get this thing started and then transfer it into LLC, or would that cost me a lot?
Yeah, you could do that. I think it's less of an issue here because the property value is lower and the transfer tax is lower in this area.
Like 2%, what, $1,000? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So here it wouldn't matter as much. It's more in like the city areas where someone's buying like a nice multi-unit or something for like 300 grand. And then down the line, they're like, oh, I want to put this in my LLC or I want to put this back in my personal name. They have to pay 5% of 300 grand. Like that's insane just to transfer it. So I wouldn't be as worried about it in this case, Jim. But you could
I'm
also
not worried about
establish an
LLCs in
LLC.
the first place. Like Steven put on, I've been a contractor for 30 years. I've had zero issues.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I think adequate insurance covers you most of the time.
Yeah.
The insurance is going to give you most of the same protections, in my opinion. But everybody's got a different opinion on the LLC versus personal name thing.
Yeah.
I'm not as cut and dry about it. I think if you get good insurance, good liability insurance, that'll cover most of the things you need covered.
So I agree with Dion in a way on that, is that they see the corporation, they think there's more money.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They think there's less money.
It's a good point. Yeah, it's like a psychology thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then a lot of DSCR lenders, it's hard. They need the LLC or the what's the other one? Trust, so they can actually get the Wall Street money.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you have less availability of funds if you don't have an entity.
Right. Right.
Is that correct,
Yeah.
man?
Say it again for me, Jim.
So you have less availability of funds after to refinance, doing a personal than you do doing DSCR personal rather than in an entity, because they can go after more Wall Street money having an entity, either a trust or an LLC.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think you're right though, is like maybe the assessment is if it's owned by an entity, there's more money at risk or to take advantage of or whatever.
Yeah.
Versus a singular person, you kind of give off the vibe of like more of a mom and pop operation and that they won't come
Yes.
after you. And then as long as you have your liability insurance there.
Well, no,
You're
I'm talking
fine.
about lending, getting money.
No, I don't know. Yeah.
Because like talking to Convoy, talking to Lending One, they all wanted an LLC or a trust.
Which type of loan was it? DSCR?
DSCR. I can only go DSCR. I'm self-employed.
Yeah. So in that case, what you're getting at, I think, is that in order for them to do a DSCR loan, it needs to be under an LLC. Is that kind of what they're saying?
LLC or trust. It has to be in an entity, not in a personal name.
Okay. I didn't know
Majority of them.
that sounded backwards to me because I was under the impression that if it's in an LLC, they're gonna underwrite it to a DSCR, but I didn't know that you could only lend DSCR to entities or LLCs.
It's not only, but majority of them can get better money. Yes.
Okay.
They have more access to other money, Wall Street money, with having an entity. Because, like you said, it's a business.
Like if they're going to sell the loan
either
on the back
sell
end,
it or they have
source
multiple
it.
people. Yes, correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. That kind of makes sense to me, I guess.
Yeah.
I still wouldn't expect you to have a huge issue finding a lender to get it done. Yeah.
Yeah. Because to get it done quicker, I'd rather just keep it in my name. It's just easier.
Yeah. Yeah. We can get LLCs established pretty quickly though too. Like I typically just tell somebody reach out to like our attorney here who's done mine and Jeremy's, like he can set them up in like 2 weeks. So typically I say just put it under contract in your personal name. We'll get the LLC going. LLC will be done in 2 weeks. And
by the time
it closes, it'll be done. So it's not that big of a deal. So that's typically what I tell people is like, if you're unsure, like, don't worry about it right now. Just get it under contract. We can assign it to your LLC after your LLC is finalized within like a week or two. It'll be before closing either way. So that's probably what I would do in your case, Jim. If
okay,
probably just lock it up and get Matt Beam, the attorney, going on the LLC paperwork. We'll get it finalized, and then before closing, we just assign it over. Kind of good to go.
Perfect.
And also, I
Excellent.
think hard money lenders will typically want to lend to an LLC. I don't know for sure, but I think there's some law against hard money lenders lending to personal name. I'm not sure, but I think they typically want to lend to an LLC. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, I know if we 4:36, Liam, I know you said you have a showing in an hour. So
Yeah, I'll probably have to get off here in a second.
not a problem. But yeah, I just want to say thank you again for coming this week.
Yeah, of course.
Love
My
having
pleasure,
you
you
all the
guys.
time. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely be back whenever you guys want. So
Yeah,
appreciate you
Excellent.
having
this
me
was
on.
huge. Thank you. Definitely
Yeah.
contact me.
Sounds good, Jim. Yeah, I sent you
Yeah.
an email already. So let me know if there's any questions. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, that
Perfect.
goes for everyone. Liam, if you'd mind, I guess, posting your email
Yep.
on the chat.
Yep, for
Yeah.
sure.
Everyone here on the chat, I know, please reach out to Liam. As you see, top notch. So, yeah, please, everyone, thank you so much again for coming this week. We're so grateful for all of you here. Have a great week. Enjoy your weekend and talk to you next week. Thanks so
All right,
much.
see you guys.
See
See you
you.
Bye,
soon.
everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Hey,
Bye bye.
thanks